right now is we're going to take a break, and then at 12:15, we're having a cooking with Annette Shellenbarger, and she is quinoa coconut pilaf. The ingredients, if everybody is going to cook at home along with her, are provided on the chat. So if you want to just look at them, or I can read them right now real quick, you need a cup of quinoa, 2 cups of water, a teaspoon of Himalayan salt, 2 tablespoons of coconut oil or ghee, clarified butter, half a teaspoon turmeric, half a cup of coconut flakes, half a cup of raw cashews, a teaspoon of black mustard seeds, a sprig of curry leaves, a 1/4 cup of lime juice, and a 1/4 cup of cilantro. That's all on our chat, and then you might have received that information also ahead of time. You will be getting a handout with the recipe, is that correct, Anisha?
All the ingredients are on the flyer for the event, and then yes, hopefully Annette will prepare a handout for us.
Oh, that'd be wonderful.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Annette, do you have anything to add at this point?
No, just to maybe get everything prepared, because we don't have a long period of time. We only have 45 minutes, so maybe just kind of get all your ingredients ready to go so you're not trying to find where everything's at. Yeah.
Perfect. All right, we'll start back up at 12:15. Everybody head to the kitchen, and if you aren't cooking, it's wonderful to just listen to. I've listened to her cooking, and she's very vividly describing. So we'll see you at 12:15, everybody.
And it's heart healthy, and it has omega-3s. So it's just a wonderful alternative to grains to add to your to your recipes to try. So the first thing we're going to do is, everybody ready to go? I think it's 12:15. So hopefully we're ready. Those of you that are cooking, I hope you have all your ingredients ready to go. Yes.
I'm just going to pause you for a second because I just hit the record button to resume.
Oh, okay. Sure.
If you don't mind just doing a little 1 minute or a couple sentences intro again and the cooking class. I'm so sorry.
Oh, no, it's okay. Sorry, everybody. There's going to be a repeat. Okay. So my name is Annette Shellenbarger. I'm an Ayurvedic practitioner, a Panchakarma specialist, and a registered nurse. Recently moved from Long Beach, California to Bradenton, Florida. And I'm really happy to be part of this community and to share some of this knowledge with you and to be a part of this. This particular recipe is a really simple one. It can be combined with another recipe like mung dal bean, like a khichdi, so an alternative to the basmati rice. Quinoa can also be eaten alone. It's a complete protein source. As I mentioned earlier, it's not really a grain. It's related to the spinach and beet family. And it has 9 essential amino acids. So it's considered a complete protein, which I love. But the best thing about it is that it's actually very satisfying. So once you eat it, you're satisfied. And it's low in fat. It's low in its glycemic index. So it doesn't spike your sugar like other grains do. It's high in antioxidant qualities. It's heart healthy, and it has the omega-3 fatty acids. So it's just a wonderful alternative to grains, especially for so many of us that are trying to, watch our grains and be kind of sort of grain-free. This is another alternative, and it's still part of an Ayurvedic type of meal. So if everyone's ready, this recipe calls, and I forgot to mention that this recipe comes from my friend, and former client. His name is Chef Om, and he's an Ayurvedic chef, and he's in LA, and he was taught from Divya Alter, who is in New York. So she has the only Ayurvedic restaurant, I believe, in the US, and it's in New York City. So he trained under her, and he lives now in LA, and he has taught for me cooking classes many times. Last September, we did a cooking course together for the whole month of September. So it was wonderful. So this was one of the meals that we prepared, and it's pretty simple. Okay, so you'll need a cup of quinoa. They come in a range of colors, white or brown. I have the brown type. And what I like to do, even though some of these say that they're already pre-rinsed, like mine said it was pre-rinsed and washed, I like to wash them one more time. So I'll just put it in a strainer, you can see. And you can just wash it off a couple of times and let the water run. Now, if you make this recipe with rice, you definitely want to wash your rice out several times. The water will never be clear. So don't ever expect your water to be clear. But you do want, but you're gonna notice that it gets clearer and clearer. That's with rice. With the quinoa, it's pretty much doesn't require a lot of rinsing. And the reason why we wash the rice is to get rid of that phytic acid that makes it so difficult to digest. And with quinoa too, and just any debris as well. Okay, so I'm gonna move my computer here over to the cooking area so you guys can kind of see. All right, and I'm gonna get my quinoa. And what we're gonna do is, let's see. So we want to bring 2 cups of water to a boil. So you put 2 cups of water into a pot, put it on high, and let's wait for it to boil. And in the meantime, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the ingredients as we do that. Go get my papers. So in this recipe, we're using curry leaves. Let me talk to you about curry leaves a little bit. They're bitter and pungent, and they pacify vata and kapha. So right now we're in vata season, so it's great to use curry leaves. They are a little bit heating, so for pitta people, you do have to watch it a little bit. But what's nice about curry leaves is that they're anti-diabetic, they're antioxidant, antimicrobial, anti-inflammatory, anti-carcinogenic, and hepatoprotective, which means it protects the liver. So it's a great addition. And what's nice about living in Florida, we can grow the curry leaf tree here. We kind of have weather like in India. So I have fresh curry leaves and they're right here. So you can see. So these are the curry leaves and they have an amazing aroma. I love it. Okay, the next ingredient is mustard seeds, and they are bitter and pungent. And their action again is heating. They also pacify vata and kapha, and they move stagnation and flush out toxins from the lymphatic system. So they're great, and they give a nice spiciness to the meal. All right, let me turn this off here for a second. Okay, all right, and then we have cashews. So cashews are sweet and warming, and they actually pacify pitta. And they are high in potassium, magnesium, vitamin A, and they are considered an expectorant. So they kind of help the lungs. And I like to use raw cashews. We actually have a farm here. Elizabeth, you know of the farm, and we can go get raw cashews. So I'm really happy about that. And you don't have to soak these before you cook them. Cashews are really soft, so they don't require soaking. All right, then we have cilantro. Cilantro is, we should have started the boiling process earlier, but anyway, cilantro is sweet. Here's my cilantro chopped up. Cilantro is sweet, bitter, astringent, and pungent. But ultimately the energy is cooling. So it does pacify pitta, but in reality, it balances all 3 doshas. Cilantro improves our digestive system. It detoxes especially, removing heavy metals from the blood. It supports healthy blood sugar. It's antimicrobial, it's antioxidant. It's high in calcium, vitamins A, K, and C. And it's also high in copper, manganese, iron, magnesium, and calcium. And then finally, the king of the herbs. I love this herb, of course. We all do, especially right now with this virus going on. Turmeric. So turmeric is bitter and pungent and astringent in taste. And its energy, its overall energy is heating. And it does balance all 3 doshas. even though it's heating, but it can aggravate Vata and Pitta if used in excess. And the reason why it can aggravate Vata is because it can be a little bit too drying. So you have to watch the amount. And it's one of those herbs that you have to be careful if you are on any blood thinners, then you should watch the quantity. But if you're using it for cooking, it's fine. You know, as long as you don't go over a tablespoon a day, you should be fine. So any questions so far? I'm still waiting for my water to boil. How are you all doing? Oh, and I didn't mention turmeric is anti-inflammatory, antibacterial, antiviral, antioxidant, fights allergies, stimulates digestion, enhances complexion, boosts immunity, and it's just the wonder spice that all the vitamin companies want to you know, get a patent on, but they can't because it's a food. So thank God for that. Any questions so far? Are we good?
Annette, I'm going to ask a quick question. If
Sure.
you could speak to this specific recipe that you're teaching us, would you label it as Tridoshic, or is there anything you'd say about how?
Yeah, so good question. I look at it, I look at that it has all the 6 tastes that we want in order to satisfy us, so that we're not, so that we don't have this feeling of I want something more, I'm satisfied. So it has the sweet taste, it has the bitter taste, it has the pungent taste. We're going to add salt, so it's going to have the salty taste. It has the astringent taste. I think I've covered them all, right? Yeah, sweet, sour, salty, pungent, astringent. Yeah, I think I covered them all. So it has all the taste, as well as the ghee that we're going to put in there. So it's just a satisfying meal all around. I would say it's more Vata pacifying than anything, depending on how much of the mustard seed and turmeric you put in. It can be a little bit overheating for Pitta, but you know, for most part in the Northern Hemisphere here, we're in Vata season. So having warm grains and increasing the sweet taste and the sour and the salty are a good thing. And a little bit of the pungent doesn't harm us either. So, and you know, yeah, I think it's just a great meal for this time of year, especially when you combine it with something like mung dal soup. It's just perfect. Or you can put some roasted vegetables with it, which is another great thing. So you can roast root vegetables. You can saute some collard greens and spinach or kale and add it to it. And that way you get even more of your bitter and astringent qualities and more of the vitamins from your greens. So.
Is there any substitute for the cilantro? Is that cilantro has a strong taste?
Yeah, so for those of you that cannot handle the cilantro, you could use parsley. It's mostly, we're just putting it on at the end. So you could use parsley or just omit it altogether. It's fine. It's not necessary in the recipe.
Thank you.
So
yeah, you're welcome.
For those of us whose water is boiling, should we add the quinoa?
Yeah, so if your water is boiling, I'm behind for some reason here. I don't know, put your quinoa in. When it comes to a boil again, stir it. When it comes to a boil again, cover it and lower to simmer. Cover it and do not open the lid. Have faith and trust that it will cook properly. And we're gonna, and set your timer for 15 minutes. I think I'm gonna just put a bigger, there we go. I think I'm just gonna put it in here. Just trust it that in 15 minutes it's going to be done. And in the meantime, measure out all your other ingredients so that they're ready to go. And we're gonna start, actually get a frying pan. We're gonna start cooking up our spices. So I'm gonna add my quinoa. It's finally boiling.
How big of a frying pan, Annette?
Just a small one. I have a small one here. Yeah, you don't need a big one. Because as you saw with the ingredients, we're not using a lot of spices. We're just using like a half a teaspoon of this and a half a teaspoon of that. And that's, so you don't need. Oh.
Sorry, I have a question.
Yes.
My thing on, so it was hard to hear.
Yes.
You know what? It's already in there. The water is boiling. Should I turn it off or?
No. So you want to simmer it for 15 minutes.
Okay.
And
All
that's how long it's going to take for the quinoa to cook. Yeah. And then the other key is to, I'm going to set my timer just a second. Once it does finish cooking at 15 minutes, you let it sit for another 15 minutes and fluff it up. That's what makes quinoa really fluffy. Yeah.
Got it.
So I'm going to put my timer. Make sure you put your timer on. You don't want to overcook it and burn it. Okay.
All right. Great. Thank you.
All right. So now, if you look at the recipe, it was in the chat. We're going to heat up our spices. So in the frying pan, we want to add our, we want to add our mustard seed. So turn on let's see if you can see here. Yeah. So we're going to add our mustard seeds. We're not putting any oil yet. They're going to start popping. So you might want to grab a lid just in case. I'm going to grab a lid here because they will start popping. So we want to add mustard seeds, cashews, and coconut flakes. And the coconut flakes. And we're going to heat these up until they're toasted. And you'll see that the coconut flakes will get a little bit brown. And then when the mustard seeds begin to pop, that's when we know that it's time to add our oil.
Could you repeat what we're supposed to put in with the black mustard seeds?
Yes, so black mustard seeds, the cashews, the coconut flakes, and then add your curry leaves as well, because we're going to brown those as well. Yeah, just making sure. And you know, I think I was looking at the recipe here, and I think there's a little error in there. And I apologize. I'm going to put my ghee in there because I think there's a little bit of an error and I missed that, and I really apologize. So does everybody have ghee? Good. So I just made fresh ghee today. I usually make it on the full moon, but I was running low, so I made fresh ghee. So it's already a little bit in liquid form. So as soon as these mustard seeds begin to pop, I'm going to put 2 tablespoons of the ghee in there and then heat it up a little bit more, toast it up a little bit more. So I'm just waiting for them to start popping. Take a look at your quinoa, make sure it's just simmering, it's not boiling in hard water, but I wouldn't lift the lid. If you have a lid that's not clear, then just trust that it's cooking properly. Yeah, how's everybody doing, okay?
Good, I forgot to use my hairnet.
Oh.
Annette, I had a question for you.
Yes.
About the cashews. I think you mentioned this earlier that you don't soak the cashews, and so is that ever? You don't need to. If you soak it, will it have a different effect, or?
No, you don't need to soak them because they're already soft. You can, but you don't need to. Let's, what we're going to do here. Let's see, we're going to add, I want to add the turmeric in because mine are getting toasted. So if they're getting toasted and you're hearing the popping sound, then add your turmeric in. The cashews, if you want to soak them, and if you're going to use them like in a type of smoothie, you can for about 30 minutes, but they really don't require much soaking. Unlike other harder nuts.
And do you ever substitute this dish with another nut besides the cashews?
You can. You certainly can. Almonds are really good for vata dosha, so you certainly can do that. Yes. All right. Was everybody able to get curry leaves? I'm wondering.
Actually, I have a question about that because I kind of got I realized the recipe was in the thing later.
Yeah. So
I don't have the leaves, but I do have curry powder and I put a little bit of that. Is that okay?
yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's a good way of substituting. Sure.
Okay.
Yep. All right, mine are getting really toasted, so I'm just going to add my 2 tablespoons of ghee. That is already melted because I just made it, so.
Should we put the salt already with the...
You could put the salt either while the quinoa was cooking, or you could put it in later. So it's up to you. That's just one of those things that is up to the chef.
Okay.
I'm just going to add it in afterwards. I mean, you can, I missed it this time, but you can definitely add it when you're cooking. You know, I have all this construction going on in the background, and unfortunately that has just, the vata. It's amazing when we know more about Ayurveda and how tuned in we get and how we realize certain things take us in or out of balance, and that it's all affected by the senses. What we hear, what we see, what we smell, what we touch, what we taste. It's just incredible to me, and how easily we can get out of balance. But what's nice about knowing that is that we can quickly get into balance, and food is one of the ways. All right, I'm turning mine off because it's starting to toast too much, almost getting burnt. And now we're just waiting. I'm waiting for the quinoa. Once your quinoa is done, I would let it sit for another 15 minutes, and you can take the lid off and let any steam evaporate, and let it sit for another 15 minutes, and then fluff it up, fold in this cashew mixture that you just made, add your salt. Then what you can do is put some lime juice. I already have mine squeezed here. And then your cilantro. So you're getting your sour taste now as well. So you're getting all the 6 tastes with this meal. It's incredible. And it's so easy. And I mean, within under 30 minutes, really, you have a meal.
Annette?
Yes.
When you have a client with a really airy digestion, quinoa aggravates that. Is there something that you can, can you substitute maybe half the quinoa for another ingredient?
Yeah, you can do half basmati, half quinoa for sure. They both take the same amount of time to cook. So you can actually add them in at the same time if you want, definitely. Or take the quinoa out completely and substitute basmati rice. So this recipe, you can use it either way. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And I recommend that, you have something like ginger tea right now before you drink, or ginger and turmeric. I made fresh ginger and turmeric. I put a little bit of raw honey, maybe CCF, the traditional Ayurvedic tea, cumin, coriander, fennel, equal parts of each. You can add ginger to that as well. And it helps to increase Agni and improve the ability for you to digest food. And it hydrates as well. When you're drinking herbal teas, it counts as hydration. It's the caffeinated drinks that don't count, that are negatives. We call them negatives. Any questions so far? My timer has not gone off yet, so I'm waiting for that. I have 6 more minutes, so. Let's see, I'm gonna look over this recipe. Yeah, okay, good. The other thing I wanted to just remind everyone is that your kitchen is, it's a sacred space. And when you go into your kitchen, you might want to consider that it's a sacred space. Don't cook when you're angry or upset, because that energy actually does transmute. You know, when people say, wow, you've put a lot of love into this food, for anyone who loves to cook, and you've heard that, right? That's a big, it's actually very true. I know with Om, he puts a lot of love into his food. And when I've had him come and cook for us and do demonstrations when I was back in LA, you really noticed it in what you ate. It was just incredible. So approach your kitchen as it's a sacred space. You and this food will become one. It becomes part of you, and your body is the temple. And so think about creating a practice or a sadhana, as Maya Tuari was so eloquently talking about, when it's time to cook and eat. Yeah. All right. Well, I see everybody's busy with their cooking, moving around. Good, good, good. And we have our lime juice. Everybody squeeze their limes.
Annette, I have a quick question.
Yeah.
The water, can you ever substitute 2 cups of water for 1 cup of water and 1 cup of veggie broth?
Absolutely. I think that's a great idea. It'll give it more flavor. Sure. Yeah. Especially if it's homemade. Absolutely. And sometimes I do that, especially when I cook basmati rice. I like to do that. Yeah. So for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I wanted to mention, with this is part of that cooking course, and it will soon be up on my website. So if anybody's interested in getting all the recipes along with the videos, it'll be there for sale for 50% off. So I just wanted to put that out there in case you're interested. And then what I'll do is I'll put this particular recipe in a PDF and send it to Kiffy, or to, I guess, to everyone in the Florida Association. Okay, I'll send it to Elizabeth, and then she can, she'll be able to send it to all the participants. Perfect. Yeah. And I'll include, I'm going to include as a bonus. Oh my gosh, you're going to love this. The bonus is the Vata Churna. It was amazing. So I'll include that in there, because since we're in Vata season, it's a great Churna spice blend to make, and you can use it when you're cooking in your food. It's perfect. So I'll include that recipe as well. Well, if your quinoa is done, mine is not done yet. If it's done, make sure that you've taken the lid off. You let it sit for a few minutes. 15 minutes is the ideal. And then you fluff it up with the fork. And then you fold in everything that we just fried up in the frying pan. And then what you're going to do is pour some lemon juice over it. It depends how sour you like it. And then put in your cilantro on it as well. And you have lunch.
So do you let it sit for 15 minutes after you take the lid off?
Yes, that's the ideal for quinoa in particular. Not so for rice, but for quinoa, it's nice to have it sit for a few minutes. 15 minutes is a good amount of time, 10 to 15 minutes. You fluff it up, and then you pour, then you mix in everything else that you've just cooked up. Your cashews and your curry leaves and your coconut flakes. Was everybody able to find coconut flakes? I hope so. Good.
Annette, do you want to take a minute to just tell us about your cooking classes and what you offer?
Yeah. So, well, thank you. Yes, that's great. So right now, I do see clients, of course, as a practitioner for consultations. I am slowly opening up for the body treatments, and Panchakarma will be coming next year. This year, as you know, for all of us, it's been a little bit tough. But next year, I'll be definitely opening up for Panchakarma treatments here in Bradenton. And online, I do see clients either in person or via Zoom. So it's nice that we have that technology now, and we can do a lot long distance. And I follow a very traditional method of treating clients, and because I was trained from Kerala, mostly from Kerala. And then finally, we do offer cooking classes with Chef Om. You can follow him, Cooking with Om, on Instagram if you want to check him out. And he also posts many recipes on there and on his website. And we're having a December, I think it's going to be December 13th, Sunday, December 13th. We're going to have a one-day cooking class. It'll be geared towards kapha type, kapha reducing foods. So lots of stews and soups and also a dessert because it's the holidays. And then in the spring, we're going to have another cooking course geared more towards detoxification, reducing kapha, you know, coming at the end of the kapha season. There's my timer. And so, and then also, like I said, if you want to have some of these recipes, it was four days. Every week we had a full day cooking class. That'll be on my website soon. And you can just get on my email list to find out when it'll be available, and it'll be at 50% off. So, all right, I trust that my quinoa is ready. So I'm just gonna let it sit here a minute. Well, this took a lot quicker than I thought. So I wanted to pick a recipe that was really fast because I knew we didn't have a lot of time. But it worked out nicely.
Annette, do you have an Instagram?
I do, and here, I'll put it right here on the chat. Ayurveda. Let me see. Yeah, let me make sure. What's my Instagram? Yeah, I have it. Yeah, and it's, yeah, Chandra Ayurveda, and then my website, chandraayurveda.com. So there it is. And or you can email me, you know, if you have any questions regarding recipe or anything at all, you can email me at Annette at chandraayurveda.com. There you go. So yeah, so that's exciting. I'm so happy that you guys are participating with this. So if you had it sit, if your quinoa was sitting there for a little bit, you might want to fold in now this cashew mixture and then pour in your lemon juice and cilantro and then have a bite and tell me what you think.
Also like to ask everyone who is preparing their dish, if you don't mind taking a picture and sending it to AAF. We will post some pictures of our final prepared dish. You can take a picture of you with your dish, whatever you'd like, but just send it to our email.
Yeah.
Always mix up our email, Kiffy, maybe you know. I think it's info@flayurveda.com.
Yeah, let's put it in the chat. So
yeah,
we have it. Yeah.
Is that the right address, Kiffy?
I was just saying Denise knows. She's the one that says it.
Denise, can you put it in our chat for us? And Sharon is asking, Annette, if you can please share the name of the restaurant in New York.
Yeah, it's Divya Alter. Awesome, Sally.
You just got muted for a second.
Oh, did you hear? Can you hear me now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. So Divya Alter, she's online. She also does cooking classes online, and she has her restaurant in New York City. I believe they are now open. Sally was there, she said, and she went with her daughter. That's awesome.
I've eaten there too. It's delicious.
Have you?
Yeah.
In New York? That's awesome. Yeah. So, yeah, so Om was used to cook for her and with her, and was taught by her for many years. And then he went off to the West Coast, and now he's doing his own thing there in LA, mostly vegan cooking, which is so interesting to see how healthy you can eating vegan. It's very difficult to do. I personally don't think I can do it, but he has done it very, very effectively, very efficiently, and cooks in it, you know, Ayurvedic, with Ayurvedic principles in mind. But he's wonderful, and he really knows his stuff. Like, he's really great. And Kiffy, I think you participated, and you got to experience Chef Om. He is a delight, right? He's just awesome.
Absolutely, I love it.
Yeah.
It was,
Really good.
I learned a lot too.
Yeah, because he's teaching you along with it. And I tell you, I'm an Ayurvedic practitioner. Yes, I cook Ayurvedically, but I'm not a chef. I mean, that's his specialty. So he is extraordinary. Yeah.
Absolutely. And he was going to join us today, but the time, he forgot he was in California and the time didn't work for him.
Here's his Instagram. No, he got mixed up with the 3-hour time difference, and he thought it was going to be, I believe, 12 o'clock his time and not 12 o'clock our time. So anyway, there was a miscommunication. It's okay. Next time we'll catch, or just join one of the cooking classes that we're going to be doing. So, and yeah, December 13th will be the next one. Well, it's interesting. If you notice, when you shut off the quinoa, once it was done and you took the lid off, you might have noticed a little bit of water at the bottom. But as you let it sit there, it absorbs. It just sucks up all the water and gets even fluffier. And that's how you have a fluffy quinoa. And so that's the trick, is to let it sit. And now you're going to fold in everything that you just, let me see if, I think I overcooked my.
Can you also speak to the different colored quinoas, and is there any doshic connection to that?
No, not that I know of. From what I know, I don't think so. I don't know if anybody here, any of the other panelists knows, and that's probably a good question for Om, but I don't think so.
It's delicious.
What do you think? Yeah, and make sure that you add your salt if you haven't, because it does require a little bit of salt.
I made the tricolored. That's all that I had in the house.
Yeah, and I have white and I have brown, so I decided to do the brown, more of the fall color. And I'm gonna add my lemon juice. I like a lot of lemon.
Right? That is delicious.
Yeah, and actually you can add the lemon juice. You can serve it and then put your lemon juice on there, or you could just do it like I did. I just wanted to mix it all in.
I used lime juice and
I'm sorry, not lemon juice, lime juice. You're right.
Okay.
Yeah, it's lime juice. You're absolutely right.
It's delicious.
And you can eat your curry leaves because they're good for you. They're antioxidant, remember? They're very, very good for you. Yeah, so I'm gonna take a bite and see how it turned out. Good, yummy. Yeah, good. I'm glad you guys liked it. I added some cranberries and stuff. Oh, I love that. Sunflower seeds are great. Pitta pacifying, vata pacifying, easy to digest, and add some avocado. Excellent, good. Yeah, use your creativity here. There's no limits. You know, there really isn't any limits. So this is wonderful. And just think about, so that you don't have cravings. That's one of the things. So, I mean, with the 6 tastes, there's an emotional component attached to that. So it has to do with our psyche and our mental health. And when we don't eat a meal that has all 6 tastes, we're kind of left with these cravings, and they affect different emotions. Without going deep into what this all means, just know that when you eat all 6 tastes, you're satisfied not only physically, but emotionally as well. And you don't go searching and craving for other things, and you end up snacking, because as you've heard earlier, that's one of the worst things you can do for your digestive system, is to not have that fasting period between meals. It's so critical. And I don't think most of us really know what hunger feels like. We don't allow ourselves to get to that place of hunger, which is so important, to feel the hunger before you eat. And how to strengthen Agni, the digestive. It's all about Agni. It's all about Agni, digestive fire. Well, I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. So good.
And does anybody have any questions for Annette at this time?
That was amazing, Annette. I just want to say I love how quick this recipe was.
Yeah, I was amazed too.
Yeah, so with the dishes, I'm looking for quick dishes that are still nutritious and easy. Right. And I loved how simple this recipe was.
I forgot how quickly this cooks up. So, so this is great. Yeah, it's wonderful.
Some dark cherry or sour cherries, which
there you go. Yeah.
I didn't have cranberries, so.
Right. And you can use quinoa in a salad. You know, you can let it cool down and then make a salad. And it's still not this cold salad, you know, of the leafy greens, but then you can add some cooked vegetables in there. And you've got a nice alternative there. Yeah.
I do have a question.
A lot you could do with this. Yes.
What would be the difference between brown mustard seeds and black mustard seeds? And can they be interchanged?
Yeah, there is no difference from what I know. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. Good.
Anyone else?
Any other questions?
I'm just going to share, I don't know if you guys can see this. I'm going to try to lift it up, but I'm going to show you my finished dish.
Yay! I'm going to take a picture.
In my little heart bowl.
Oh, that's beautiful.
I know, I love it. So I know, you know, we talk in Ayurveda about our portion size, right? Our meal size. And I often would tell clients to like get something in their kitchen that's the right serving size that they can eat their meal out of. Right. And I just purchased this heart bowl earlier this year, but I love it because it's like the perfect portion size. And it also just makes taking pictures of my food really.
Yeah. And you know, you made me think of the presentation of food and how we eat, and to set the table and put some beautiful flowers and have nice aroma and just have a pleasant atmosphere when you eat. It's so important, and not have a stack of books and papers and trying to eat around stuff, you know, and chaos. To really think about your environment, because all that affects, it's the visual. You know, remember we talked about how you can go out of balance with all your senses. So it'll make for a better experience and better digestion for sure. Yeah.
I have one little comment about the mustard seeds that were asked. Yeah. The black and brown are both pretty much the same, but if you get a yellow mustard seed, it's a little more mild in the pungency.
Yes. Yeah.
So if you do have a higher pitta, then I guess you could probably use the yellow.
You could do the yellow. Mm-hmm.
Well, for all of us who've been through Ayurvedic school in one way or the other, we've learned some of these dishes to cook. I learned from Denise at the Florida Academy of Ayurveda. Mm. There are others that learned from Sai Ayurvedic Institute and from Sampurna Ayurvedic College. Mm-hmm. And there are others too that across the country, but those are the 3 schools in Florida. And I thought that I would just, if anybody's interested in ever attending, Florida Academy of Ayurveda is in Tampa, and Denise O'Dunn is our esteemed teacher. And she provides professional education and training to the clinical study and practical application of Ayurveda. She's committed to preparing students to move forward as practitioners of Ayurveda, offering a supportive environment that assures their experience leads to competency. Graduates are highly qualified to conduct Ayurvedic consultations and offer their clients the time-proven practices of Ayurveda in an applicable manner. Sai Ayurvedic Institute is in Miami, and it's a NAMA-recognized, state-accredited degree-granting school teaching the principles and practices of Ayurveda. Has an intense clinical focus with an internship in India, helping healthcare and wellness professionals, as well as interested individuals, integrate this ancient science of life into their work and daily lives. Sampurna Ayurvedic College is in Miami Lakes in Florida, and their philosophy and methodology emphasize comprehensive course studies and superior practical training, teaching from Shastra, the original books of Ayurveda. The program incorporates many aspects of the Vedic tradition, as well as hands-on clinical training, including practical teaching with partners in India. All towards the aim of preserving and presenting Ayurveda in its pure form, which all 3 schools do. So those are the 3 Florida schools that have helped us with spreading the word of Ayurveda and teaching all of us, like Annette did today, how to balance ourselves through nutrition.
That's right. Great.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing, Kiffy. I know that some of us here have attended those Florida schools. Some of us have studied Ayurveda elsewhere. Part of our mission with AAF is to really grow awareness of Ayurveda in Florida. And so if you know anyone who is looking to further their Ayurvedic studies, please let them know about our 3 local schools in our state. And we'd love to encourage participation and membership at all of our state schools. Thank you, Annette, so much for that lovely cooking class. And I love that we get to end our day with this great, delicious dish in front of us. And
that's right.
To just transition into a nice meal.
Thank you.
It was my pleasure. Thank you. Thank you for joining me.